land over there, that building over there, that's American soil. And there are plenty of Americans here, right? Can you raise your hand if you're American?
Awesome, thanks.
So, let's make something perfectly clear. MAGA tried to steal our patriotism, but we're here to take it back. And we have a bunch of Canadians here to help us.
I didn't know there was going to be a demonstration here, so by myself, it's 9:30, I've been walking back in front of the American Consulate, where it should be.
That's awesome.
And what this sign means, 56 years ago, I spent a week on their sidewalk along with another group supporting civil rights, the civil rights movement in the United States. At that time, it was the Selma marches and such. So that's what this sign means. And that's what I'm saying.
We want fair elections. We want fair elections. When I say what we want, you say no tyrants. We want 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 no tyrants. When democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back.
My name is Claire, and I am a dual citizen, as many of you here, of Canada and the United States. I decided to make a sign that said, "Conservatives and Progressives united to defend democracy," because I consider myself a progressive, as I imagine many of you do as well, but I also have many loved ones in the United States who consider themselves conservatives and who are outraged at what the Trump administration is doing, riding roughshod over the Constitution and human rights and the rule of law. Progressives cannot win this fight alone. We need to build bridges. We need to build coalitions. We need to listen to people who disagree with us on smaller scale political issues. We might not agree with them about affirmative action. We might not agree with them about gun control. But if we can agree about fundamental respect for the rule of law, if we can agree that people should not be taken off the street without trial, without a chance to present any kind of evidence in their favor, and jailed and shipped out of the country to a prison built for terrorists, if we can agree that this is wrong, that this is against the Constitution, we need to work together. But we build a mass movement by treating one another with respect, by listening, by not demonizing people who might not use the exact same language or terminology as us, by being open to hearing different viewpoints, different values, while standing firm on the fundamental bedrock of democracy and human rights.
My name is Linda, and I live in New York City. I'm a U.S. citizen. And I am... and I am here working, actually. And I was so excited to see that there was an event here today, because it was hard not to be out there on the streets of America. I know you had a moment of silence about this at the other site, but for those of you who might not have heard, this morning a Democratic leader from the state of Minnesota and her husband were murdered in what has been called a targeted assassination. Governor Walz of Governor Walz announced that it was a targeted assassination. It was someone, and another Democratic leader and his wife are seriously injured and in the hospital. They were shot as well. The person who did this was posing as a police officer of the state of Minnesota, and even with a police car. And this is happening at the same time that, as you all know, there are ICE agents, DHS, who are out there in masks and not showing ID, and the problems are intense. These people were allowed in their homes because he actually really looked like a policeman. And at the same time, we have people out who are, can be masquerading. There certainly are many stories of people who they think are Proud Boys and stuff who are dressing up and showing and doing wellness checks, quote unquote. So it's a dark day for many reasons. We've had many dark days. As people said earlier, it is a horrible time in America, but the protests are what are working. And when the woman who spoke earlier so well said, the political scientist said, how did this happen? A serious problem we have is that a huge part of the population is only listening to certain news. And what they are being told are lies. And that's how it happened, including by the man who's currently in the White House, whose name I never say. In that he, said, I don't believe in Project 2025, I don't know what that is, and as we know, that's all BS. And just the other day, as you may have heard, our head of Homeland Security, if you can call her that, went on Fox News and lied about the California Senator Padilla, who was handcuffed, and said he lunged at her and he did not say his name, and we know. But, exactly. But what that does is leaves millions of people who only watch those news sources being the ones who think that's what happened. And so I am deeply grateful for those who are active in this way, in protesting, who are also out there on social media, etc., posting things, because again, what is working, besides right now, God willing, the courts are holding 96% of the cases he's lost. But nevertheless, what is working, they're saying, in small towns and big, are us, people, getting out there. Finally, I just want to say that I know that you are standing up for yourselves as Canadians, about which I support completely. And I just want to say anecdotally, somewhat at the end, that I went into an LCBO the other day to get a glass of wine, and to get a bottle of wine. And I have to tell you, it made me so effing happy to see not a single U.S. product.
We have a promise still coming to us from the last Liberal administration about proportional representation. And we've seen that every autocracy that's now gaining control democratically is using whatever tools of government. Minority governments are especially, first past the post is a minority government. As long as we have first past the post, everybody says, woo, we got by this time. By our frickin' teeth skin, right? We gotta, like, before the next election, we gotta have proportional representation, because we could have gone down, we're this close to that. And so if you take one thing away from here, is push whoever the hell you know in government to push that issue.
I am not myself American, but in the interconnected world we live in, I know many an American, and I know many an LGBT American. And one from the New Hampshire area I've talked to a great many times, and they are afraid, because every morning they wake up wondering if this is going to be the day that they learn that they're no longer eligible for health care, that they're no longer allowed to travel. And no one in any country should have to feel like that, especially not in what is supposed to be a country built on the concept of freedom. And right now, this may be an American problem, but with the sway America has over global discourse, with how much of especially online media is centralized in American companies, it may be an American problem right now, but if it goes ignored, it will not stay an American problem. And that is why I'm not staying silent, why I'm here, and why I am so happy to see so many Americans and Canadians alike here today.
I'm from here in Toronto. I'm a Canadian citizen, and I'm afraid. I'm afraid to go and visit my family in the United States these days. And that makes me so very sad, because I'm 64 years old. I've been visiting the States for 60 years. I've always felt welcome. I've always felt safe, but not anymore. And the reason is that the American administration no longer respects and upholds the American Constitution. The very fact that I am speaking here today, expressing myself freely, expressing my political views, might make me end up getting detained if I try to go and visit my own family. And that is a shame, and I pray that everyone here raises concerns about this with their elected representatives. If you're an American, if you're a Canadian, then please, write to American politicians. Let them know, I had booked a vacation this summer. I'm not coming because I'm afraid. And the reason I'm afraid is I no longer have constitutional rights in the United States.
I want to be optimistic. These are challenging times, these are dangerous times, but I want to remind everyone, the arc of history bends towards justice. They fought like hell against civil rights. They fought like hell against women's rights. They fought like hell for gay rights, and they're fighting like hell against trans rights. But the arc of history bends towards justice. They can't deal with that. Our job, collectively, is to keep bending towards justice. There are more of us that can bend this bar than those are trying to bend against it. This is why we're here, and there's no doubt we will win, because the arc of history bends towards justice.
I just wanted to come on here and say, I see so much unity in this crowd. I'm seeing people with the keffiyeh on. I'm seeing people with pride flags. I'm seeing people that are standing with what is right. I'm seeing people with Mexican flags. I'm seeing people from all walks of life here to say the radical thing that human rights should be protected no matter what. No matter what. We are not free till we are all freed.
Yes! For those who did not hear, I'm from Brooklyn, New York. PK for life, PK in the house. Trans-American, they, them pronouns anyway. So I wanted to take a moment and remind everybody that what we're doing here is incredible. But once we go back to our homes, it's still happening in our communities. So we need to be alert, at minimum, for the next 3 years, to make sure we're looking out for one another. Whether that is a person that you know, a person you don't know, a person you see on the subway. Subway, is it called subway here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. It's time for us to stop looking for left, right, Democrat, Republican, and just see human. Right. At minimum, for the next 3 years, we need to be on high alert, and we need to be doing our part as a part of the community. And I'm so grateful to be a part of Toronto's community now. I've been here for a month. Y'all are incredible. And I'm excited to build a future here.
Brutal fascist regime that has ever existed, alongside our brothers on Omaha Beach, the Americans. Now, the American president has deployed that same military against his own people, destroying his constitution, attacking freedom, while he kisses Vladimir Putin's ass. Stand up for democracy or fall. I have one message and one message only. Resist today, resist tomorrow, resist until the last fascist is driven from our soil!
To give a handout to the unions, because if it wasn't for the unions to motivate Tommy Douglas, we wouldn't have free health care. I was talking to a friend of mine down in the States. He hurt himself. He was talking about how expensive it was. He asked about what we pay up here. I said we pay for parking. If the unions give us 40-hour work week, 8-hour work day, time and a half overtime, our retirement benefits, and I can go on for the next 20 minutes listing all the things that have flowed down from their hard work into day-to-day everybody's employment.
Hi everybody, I'm from Iran, and right now that we are talking about healthcare, there are people dying in my country because US is giving money to Israel and just ruining their life there. And there are so many children, women, and just civilians that are dying. And because of the media, they make you feel that no, they are just armies that are being killed. But no, there are my loved ones, my family back there, and I want you to know that. To know that our country is all for peace, and they were just ready to talk with the US. But what they did, they just ruined our country. I want you to know that.
American. I've called Canada home for 25 years. If you've got an American flag, I'd like you to stand behind me. Because today marks the day when ordinary people decided they'd had enough of being told their voices didn't matter. On this day, June 14th, 1777, the Continental Congress adopted the Stars and Stripes as our flag. Not just cloth and thread, but a symbol. Born from the audacious belief that common citizens could challenge the most powerful empire on earth. Those revolutionaries understood what we sometimes forget, that protest is not the enemy of patriotism. It is patriotism.
The thing that we have to do is to raise our voices, just like Americans are known to do. Americans, you might know that sometimes you're known as being loud and obnoxious. We don't need to be loud and obnoxious. That is the secret. That is the secret power that American people have. You all remember that clip from Midnight Cowboy? When Dustin Hoffman's crossing the road, he's like, I'm walking here! We all need to do that. That's what acting does for us comedians. So I want you all to try that. I want you to put on your best New York accent and say, I'm walking here! I'm walking here! I'm walking here! Elbows up! Elbows up!
I moved to Canada 33 years ago, and I've been here ever since. I have Canadian citizenship as well. I've been in mourning because my native-born country is suffering from like mass insanity. The powers that be and the media have convinced a lot of really wonderful Americans, and those of you who travel through America, you know most Americans are open-hearted and friendly, but they've been convinced that we are dangerous to them. They've been convinced that we're going to tear apart their country, we're going to destroy their morality, we're going to bring all sorts of evils. So they've been overwhelmed by fear. We have to counter that with love. We have to convince people, we have to try to convince people that they don't have to constantly be about protecting themselves, that the safer way, the healthier way, is to open themselves. We have to do that in this country as well. So one of my biggest concerns is we have to figure out how to educate people to think more critically. I tell you, however strong your convictions are right now, if you were planted in front of a TV and fed a constant stream of Fox News, within 2 weeks you'd be on their side. Because it's a powerful, powerful message. They're drumming into your head. These people are dangerous, they're immoral, they hate you, they want to destroy you. Now we can't respond in kind with just a lot of screaming about how horrible they are. Because they hear that and they say, well, what? I'm just a person trying to get by. Why do they hate me? So we have to tone down the hate, come with more love and understanding. Yes, and part of it has to be understanding what they are afraid of and showing them we're not the ones endangering you.
I am a US and Canadian dual citizen, and I'm also from California, and I also stand with California. You know something's wrong when the LAPD condemns ICE and stands with the protesters? Yeah. ago now, when I was 12, my parents uprooted us from California and moved us here because they didn't want to raise me in a country where 60 million Americans could vote for a racist, sexist, homophobic rapist.
I'm from the U.S. Birthday